Hold up. Why are these guys fire? There's no lava pit.
Because you get elemental husk in this.
Really?
Isn't it just war games where you don't get elemental?
Yeah, it's just war games.
Okay.
This one you can get any. You can get a variety.
Interesting.
Okay, Joey, we get it. You like cranking 90s.
Dude, I don't like doing it. I'm just bored. There's nothing else to do. Alrighty boys, welcome back once again to another video. How you guys doing? Guys, today we're going to be going over how you can beat Plankerton endurance mode in Fortnite Save the World. Just yesterday, or well just last night, myself, IM2, Deathgrip, and Nihilak completed Plankerton endurance and obtained that banner status, and in today's video I'm hoping to do the same for you. Of course, 2 weeks ago I did a video on Stonewood endurance mode. I'll of course be doing one on Canny Valley and Twine Peaks as well, hopefully before the birthday event does come around. But then today's video we'll be covering Plankerton, going over team composition, a few tips and tricks, and showcasing the builds for every single one of the amplifiers. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to do in today's video. Sit back, relax, and let's go ahead and jump into this. So first off, I do want to talk about a few basic things that you might want to know. Whenever it comes to your team composition, I mean, Plankerton is pretty easy. If you've already done Stonewood, Plankerton, just trust me on this, it's way easier than Stonewood. It was extremely boring whenever we were running through it, so do keep that in mind, as your team composition does not really need to be the best. In fact, whenever we ran it, Deathgrip was Zenith, I was Zenith, IM2 was Machinist Harper, and I do suggest that you have at least one Machinist Harper on your team, and Nihilak, I believe, was a ninja, just a regular melee ninja. So we really didn't need a very good team composition. You might need to save that for possibly Canny Valley, but definitely Twine Peaks. But if you've done Stonewood, Plankerton is even easier. Just make sure you have a Machinist Harper and you are good to go. Another good thing to have is to make sure that you do have a teammate that has a teleporter on him, so that he is able to go inside of the trap tunnels and hit the propanes into the teleporter, get those out of the trap tunnel to make sure that there are no blowouts. During our 2.5 hour run, which is how long endurance mode usually lasts, we had one blowout, and it was on Amplifier C, and that was only because we had a special modifier. You know, whenever every single thing in the area turns to a storm and you have those 4 little objectives to defend, essentially one of those spawned in the trap tunnel down here, which did lead to a propane blowout. So normally you really won't have them. This is, like I said, is extremely easy, but it's always better to be safe than sorry and make sure that you clear out those propanes. Aside from that, I think that's pretty much all I really want to mention. Another thing that might be notable is that whenever you do come against a UFO, because in all of my testing of this actual defense, you are guaranteed to fight a UFO on wave 5, always make sure that you do have at least an obliterator and a yeoman on you. What you can actually do whenever the UFO shows up is you can shoot it with the obliterator and then swap to your yeoman and then swap back to the obliterator and just completely delete it like that. It is extremely easy to get rid of the UFO, and in my experience you will find them pretty much every single time on wave 5. You end up coming across a few other simulations here and there, but they're really not too big of a challenge. But without further ado, I think that's pretty much it for the general information. Let's just go ahead and jump into it. We're going to be going over every single one of these amplifiers, showcasing the builds, showcasing the traps, and then I'll be giving you guys a few pointers here and there if they are needed. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it, and we're actually going to start off with the Storm Shield itself. Alrighty, so whenever it comes to your Storm Shield in Plankerton Endurance mode, your Storm Shield will never be attacked, so you do not need to worry about building this whatsoever. The defense you see right here is built entirely just for war games. You will never, ever, ever get attacked to your Storm Shield whenever it comes to Endurance mode, or at least in my own experience. The Storm Shield never went under attack. During war games, you will get attacked from the north side over here, which is why we have this entire Lobber Shield built right here. This build was kind of just put here as a meme, and you know, it's not really the most efficient, so I really wouldn't advise copying it, but it's just kind of a little bit of a testing tunnel that IM2 and Deathgrip built. So yeah, you never really have to worry about your Storm Shield getting attacked ever in endurance mode, so you can completely write this off and you do not need to build this whatsoever. So let's go ahead and move on to the Southside Amplifier. Alrighty, so here we are at the Southside Amplifier. For me, this is Amplifier A. As you guys can see, I have it encased in brick, although this is not necessary at all. And this is the build for the Southside that you are going to want to go with. So I'm going to go ahead and start on the side of the husks and showcase what it's going to look like over there. Of course, the lobber shield is pretty self-explanatory. Just put a sheet of wood above whatever you build and you are good to go. Also, you may notice that a lot of these buildings are not tier 3. However, I definitely recommend that you tier 3 up your metal, as it did cause a few complications during the run where husks were wanting to break through this wall right here. Even whenever it is T3, sometimes you will find some husks wanting to break through right here, but it can be solved just by putting a wall launcher right there, and the husk really won't bother with it because you'll just keep getting pushed back. But yes, you do want to make sure that you do tier 3 everything. We were just a little bit lazy. We really didn't want to use all of our metal for Plankerton Endurance. It did cause a few tiny complications where husks were pathing in weird ways, but we really didn't have to worry about it too much. Another thing that I do want to mention is that your traps, you are going to want to make sure that they are 106. Please do not build 130 traps, as they are just not as useful. They are going to get downscaled, so they're not going to be as efficient as they should be. So of course we only have 106 traps. We have 115s right here. Do not go all the way to 130, as I do believe they get downscaled to power level 116. But let's go ahead and, oh wow, let's go ahead and showcase this build for you guys on what you are going to want to do here. So on the Southside amp for Amplifier A for me, the husks are going to be spawning way back here, and this is the only place they will spawn from. The main tunnel is right here. There is a side tunnel that they might use every now and again, although not too often, which is right there. We'll be going over both of them. So as you head up here, of course, we do have a wall launcher to push any of them back that do end up in this middle area as they're walking to the sides. We have some dynamos and some wall darts to shoot them and shock them, and of course some ceiling electric fields. Now what I did notice is that of course Plankerton Endurance is extremely easy. Do not use too many gas traps. You do not want to go ahead and use all of your herbs. If you can, use a lot of ceiling electric as well, as you just do not need the gas traps. If this was Twine Peaks, I would probably say just go, you know, 90% gas traps, but here I would probably be a little bit more lenient on your gas traps. Maybe 30 to 40% of your ceiling traps should be gas traps. But as you guys can see, we are making use a lot of broadsides. We have some rare floor spikes right here, which are utilizing full durability, and this is what the tunnel looks like. If you guys would like to copy this, it is pretty simple. Just put your launchers to keep them pushed back, put your broadsides on the larger portions of the tunnels. And yeah, pretty self-explanatory right here. This floor launcher will reset the husks if they do get to this point and push them all the way back here. So it is pretty useful. Normally we just use these right here whenever it comes to dividing within these trap tunnels to kind of make the pathing take a little bit longer. You can get away with using pieces like this. However, I do not advise using them if they are in front of a wall launcher. So normally, to keep things from getting complicated and trying to be as efficient as possible, normally you do want to use these pieces in your tunnels. And also shout out to IM2 for building pretty much all of these tunnels. I ended up trapping them afterwards, and he actually took a few designs from a friend of ours in the community known as Takujo. So shout out to both of them. But this is what the main tunnel looks like. And as you guys can see, we are utilizing one of these fat pieces right here, as there is no wall launcher to push into it. So pretty self-explanatory. Timeout room right here, utilizing broadsides. Of course, you can put one broadside and two dynamos if you'd like. It's just not going to be as efficient, but husks won't even reach this point anyways. So this is what the main tunnel looks like. Here's what it looks like from above, if you guys would like to see. Nothing complicated whatsoever. Of course, we do have that side tunnel over there I'd like to go over really quick, and that is where you're normally not going to see barely any husks whatsoever. You might see like 2 or 3 of them at that per wave on this side come to this side right here. This is way over trapped, but we did it just to be safe, and of course it is pretty self-explanatory, just like the previous tunnel. We didn't even bother putting any of these dividers in here, as they really just weren't necessary. And yeah, neither were all these traps. We really could have stopped trapping probably right here, but of course we did it just to be safe. If you don't have all legendary perks on your traps and you don't have them god rolled, then you might want to make sure that you fill these out completely. But that, of course, is that trap tunnel. It leads to up here, and it doesn't matter. Husks will not reach this point anyways, so they just come out here, and if the husks were to survive, they would probably just walk over to the amplifier, but they will not reach this point regardless. That is pretty much it for the Southside Amplifier. Now we will be moving on over to my Amplifier C, which is on the east side. Moving on over to Amplifier C, of course, we do have it shell cased in all of this brick. Amplifier C has a chance to get attacked from the north and from the east. Both of these sides are extremely easy to build for, and they are quite simple. The north is a little bit more annoying because you do have to encase an area up there where the husk can spawn, and they do have some issues with wanting to punch through there every now and again, but do keep in mind that husk pathing can be very much manipulated if you decide to stand in some very strange areas. So what I do suggest is standing as close to the amplifier as possible to keep husks from pathing in a very weird direction. But going on over to the east side of the C amplifier for myself, this is where the husks will spawn. They will all spawn right back here. Now, sometimes you will find that your husks will walk up here onto this ramp. This is very rare. They do not often do this, but in case that they do, make sure that you have a few wall launchers up here to get them off, and they of course will path correctly. They do not very often come up here, so really don't waste too many materials on that. Mainly the husks will be going on this side, they will be going over there, and sometimes down here. Now, taking a look at this tunnel right here, of course, this is very simple. We do have one of these floor pieces right here, which you do see utilized a lot ever since Tic Tac ended up making a video on his own tunnel. This, of course, you know, just put a wall launcher here. This will push them out, and they will slide back here. But yeah, pretty simple. You have gas traps, ceiling electrics, you know, of course the wooden floor spikes, and just a lot of dynamos. A timeout room right here, but it of course will never get utilized. The husks normally don't even make it to this dynamo. They die quite quickly. If they do happen to, sometimes they will path over here and then die right here. They normally don't make it far whatsoever. And that's pretty much it for all of Plankerton, really. They just don't make it far at all. Of course, they will come down here every now and again. I did have a few problems where the husks were beating through here in some of my testing after the completion, but of course I did end up reinforcing it like this to make sure that the husks knew to not come this way, as it would take way too long. So they will just path right down here, get thrown into this timeout room, and this is actually kind of misplaced. You probably want it to be a little something like this. There we go. So you probably want to be a little bit something like this instead to make sure that they are as close to this wall launcher as possible. They'll get hit into this timeout room and die immediately. Normally, they don't even make it to this point right here. So that is the east side of this C amplifier for myself. So now if we go ahead and take a look at the north side of this amplifier, this is what it looks like. Now, if we go ahead and head on over to where the husks spawn, they will spawn in this back area right here. Now, you will notice that some husks will spawn down here, they'll spawn up here, yada yada. They will end up just pathing through here. Of course, these punchers right here just to kind of delay them just a little bit longer. They will end up pathing into here, and this is the easiest trap tunnel possible to build. It doesn't require anything special whatsoever. It is just filled with timeout rooms, and they never even make it to the first timeout room until very late in the run. Normally, they are stuck in these first two tiles right here, which is pretty good. A very easy to make trap tunnel. Make sure that you don't go too crazy on the gas traps, and make sure you try to utilize the ceiling electrics as much as possible so you don't end up wasting a lot of mats. Now, the one weird thing about this amplifier is that you will have, or about this side on the amplifier, is that you will have some husks spawning up here. However, in my experience, they have not gone over to this side whatsoever. When they do spawn up here, they will drop down here, and they will continue on into this tunnel. So to give you guys an idea of what this looks like from the outside, I will go ahead and get rid, well, I'll just kind of trap myself in here really quick. But to give you guys an idea on what this looks like from the outside, just build yourself a little bit of a box around that little spawn area, and you are good to go. No lobbers, no flingers, they will not bother you. And of course, this is what it looks like from the airborne perspective. This tunnel is quite easily one of the simplest tunnels you can build, and this is an idea, here's an idea of what this one will look like from an airborne view. And that is what the tunnels look like under the lobber shield. and it is pretty self-explanatory. One thing I did notice is that you might not want this piece right here. I did notice that if you did have this as a full piece, a lot of husks were smacking this. So I just edited it to look like this. I mean, you could probably get rid of this. Just a little bit of a, I don't know. I just wanted to point that out. I noticed that a lot of husks would get stuck on this area right here. Make sure that you don't put a floor piece right there. But yes, this amplifier is pretty self-explanatory. Now let's go ahead and move on over to... Let's move on over to the B amplifier. Actually, no, the E amplifier. So let's go ahead and go over there because I do have to mention something once we get there. Alrighty, so here we are at this E amplifier here on the west side. Now, one thing I did want to mention before I do jump into this amplifier right here is that I do not have this one placed. I believe this is the only other variable whenever it comes to the Plankerton defense that you may have this amp placed right here. Unfortunately, I do not, and I do not know how to build for it, so I do apologize. For those of you guys that do have this amp build, like I said, I do apologize, but hopefully you will be able to take a few notes whenever it comes to the rest of these amps. Of course, I'm just going over the build that helped me succeed personally. So let's go ahead and jump into this E amplifier. So for this E amplifier, of course, it is much like the other ones. It is a pretty simple build, and of course, just a huge lobber shield to go over everything else. This right here is not needed. Let me go ahead and get rid of that. So one thing I do want to showcase really quick is where the husks spawn, and then we'll be checking out Trap Tunnel 1 and Trap Tunnel 2. So moving on over to where the husks spawn, they will end up spawning way back there. And of course, sometimes they will spawn up here as well. They will end up funneling themselves through here and up that ramp, or they will funnel themselves into there. Now, what I noticed is that you do want to build this as to prevent flingers and lobbers from walking around. Another thing that you might want to do to prevent that is by going over here and making sure that you build these to prevent them from actually walking up these ramps and starting to fling from this side over here. I did have a incident where a lobber and flinger did decide to walk all the way around and start flinging and lobbing from over here, so you do want to make sure that you build those as well as this little wall ramp right here. I do have launchers right here, although they're not needed. It's kind of just there for looks. Husks never even walk up to these anyways once they're placed, so you don't have to worry about that. Of course, the lobber shield, just put a flat, wooden tile over everything where they spawn, and this, of course, is the area that they spawn in. So let's go ahead and take a look at the easier of the trap tunnels. You will end up finding less husks going here, but you will find husks going here nonetheless. So this is what this trap tunnel looks like. And do keep in mind that these trap tunnels really aren't built with the most efficient means in mind. You do not need these trap tunnels to be the most efficient or the most well thought out in any way, shape, or form. It is just a simple build. Of course, like I've been saying this entire time, it is just Plankerton. Nothing whatsoever is really stressful about this. If anything, doing Plankerton endurance mode is more boring than anything. But there you go. That is that trap tunnel right there. And this is what it looks like from above if you would like to build it. Very, very simple. Of course, it goes down there into that lobber shield. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the husk spawn and walk up the next one, which would be Trap Tunnel 1. So there we go. So this is Trap Tunnel 1. Of course, we have a wall launcher here, so as they're walking in, they do get pushed. They'll walk into this area, they'll get zapped and gas trapped. As you walk up, you'll get zapped and shot by wall darts repeatedly. Then, of course, you get into this area right here. Again, very, very simple. The exact same thing that we've been doing for every single other one. Of course, you would want to put like a dynamo or, wall darts right there if you were trying to maximize on damage. This is just a little hotel bit right here. Wall launcher to shoot them up here and to do some extra damage. As just a little bit of a last resort thing, as you will never normally have husks in this area. And then, of course, it comes out right here for the west side amplifier. This is a view from the above if you would like to take a look at that. So there we go. Now let's go ahead and move on over to this B amplifier, which is as well on the west side, and then we'll end off with the D amplifier, which is the other amplifier on the east side, and then we're pretty much done. This is very simple, and it's pretty straightforward, so let's go ahead and head on over to B. Alrighty, so here we are on the B amplifier, which is the other west side amplifier. One thing I did want to mention is that during our run, we were only getting attacked from the north side. There was no attacks from the west side, despite building for for the west side, and this might, this might cause an attack. An attack might come from the side depending on how you have your amps placed, or an attack might come on this side, via SSDs or war games and the such. So just really quick, I'm going to be going over this trap tunnel, as I don't think it's really essential, as we never got attacked from this side. The husks will be spawning down here, but we did never get attacked from this west side on the B amp. But this is just a really quick look at what the tunnels look like. They are, of course, nothing special. They're just filled with dynamos and filled with electric ceiling. So there you go. That is that trap tunnel right there. And then we have this one right here. Like I said, you probably will not get attacked from this side, but better safe than sorry. You might want to build this, but of course during our 2.5 hour run, we didn't have a single run-in with any husks on this side. But there you go. So if they do end up spawning here, they will either go through that middle tunnel or go through the left side. This of course is what it looks like from the outside. Pretty self-explanatory. No husk came from this direction, but better safe than sorry. This, of course, is what the lobber shield looks like. So let's go ahead and cover the actual important side of Amplifier B. Now you will have two areas or two different tunnels that you want to build. A tunnel over there, which is the lesser utilized one, and a tunnel right here, which is the main one. Now let's go ahead and take a look at where the husks are going to be spawning. The husks will be spawning way back here towards this amp. Also, yes, this is another amp that you can place. I believe this is a very difficult one to defend from. I don't know a single person that does have this one placed. In fact, it's actually been so long, I don't even know if you can place this amplifier. But this, of course, is one that you might be able to do. I don't know. But the husks will spawn around here nonetheless, and this is the lobber shield that we have built for it. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that whenever the husks spawn here, every now and again, like I said, for the lesser tunnel, they will path over here. And this is, again, a very basic tunnel. Normally, you'll just have a few lobbers here and there coming throughout this area. Nothing special, just a little bit of a timeout room right here as a last minute kind of thingy. And resort, and then of course Amplifier B right there. Normally they do not even make it to this upper area of this tunnel, but this is what it looks like. Before we do get into the main tunnel, one thing I do want to mention is that sometimes husks will path over here. They will like to path. Somehow they will get up here, or maybe, they might spawn up here every now and again. I'm not entirely sure, but what I have noticed is that some husks were beating down on this wall right here. So I ended up putting a dynamo, a freeze, and another dynamo right here. I don't know why, and I don't know how husks got up here, but I did notice during one of my tests that this area was damaged, so I did put a few traps just to prevent it. Another thing I do want to mention is that you will have some husks spawning up here. You have a few, they will spawn roughly just around this area. So all you have to do is just make sure that you loop your wooden walls around here, and of course make sure that you do tier up some walls. And I did put a launcher here, but they don't normally attack this. Just make sure that you do tier these up. And if I were to get rid of this, I of course do have a tier 3 metal right behind here to make sure that the husks do not want to break through. But of course they will not end up breaking through here as long as they are tiered up, and they have no reason to, and they would just jump straight down here. They will either path into that tunnel or this main tunnel. And for this main tunnel, this is what it's going to look like. Sometimes you will have husks coming through here, and of course this lobber shield will prevent them from even wanting to throw into the amplifier. They will go through this area and then of course through here. Very simple design. As soon as you get right here, you will have a little bit of a hotel design, which will boost them up to the top. You have floor freeze, broadsides, dynamos, and gas traps. Pretty simple. Wall launcher in case they come across right there. And broadsides on both these sides. Wall launcher, broadside, floor spikes, broadside. The same stuff that we've been doing this entire time. And up here, of course, more dynamos, more wall darts, and more electric fields. This is what it's going to look like from above. Actually, this is actually a pretty big one. Let me back up a bit, and I will showcase it from right here. So this is what it may look like whenever you're done. The lobber shield, of course, can be however you build it, as long as it keeps the lobbers and flingers from lobbing and flinging. You are good to go. But this is what ours looks like. So lastly, we have the Amplifier D, which is very simple to build for. Nothing at all is a problem whenever it comes to Amp D. So let's just go ahead and jump into it, and I'll showcase the tunnels that we have over there. Alrighty, so here we are on the last amplifier, Amplifier D, which is the second amplifier on the east side. Now Amplifier D will be getting attacked from the east and the south, and both of these will have a main tunnel and a minor tunnel, main tunnel and a minor tunnel whenever it comes to building them. So first off, we're going to go and take a look at the east side, as it is the easiest. Of course, make sure you do put a cone around your amplifier just in case, but then again, it's only Plankerton. So here we are. So the husks will be spawning down here, and they will either be pathing into this upward area or pathing into that downward area. So down here, also make sure you do your, lava shields, pretty self-explanatory. Make sure that, come in here, do the basic same thing that we've pretty much been doing this entire time. Electric field, gas traps, broadsides, punchers, wooden floor spikes, pretty simple. Of course, they'll come out down here. They never end up getting this far whatsoever. For this main tunnel, pretty self-explanatory as well. They will path upwards to here. And of course, you can put some floor spikes. You can put some punchers if you like. Wall darts, dynamos, drop down here, get frozen, zapped, and shot with broadsides. And the same pretty much goes for the other sides of the tunnel. Very self-explanatory, very easy, and very effective. So that is the east side tunnels. Let's go ahead and take a look at the south side tunnels. So if we head over here, we of course do have the south side tunnels. We have this main one and that lesser one. So let's go and take a look at where these husks are going to be spawning. And I did have a few problems with the pathing of these husks, but I do believe that I did get it fixed. So I did have some issues where the husks were wanting to break into this area right here. However, I was able to tier 3 everything up and kind of build a few of these, to kind of prevent that. And so they ended up stopping hitting on these walls, which was getting pretty annoying. But make sure that you do tier 3 this stuff up and reinforce it, or else they will want to break through here. I do of course have some wall launchers just in case, but they will spawn back here. Lobber shield, just basic wooden shield. Make sure you have some defenses on the left to keep them from pathing, and they will end up going into this main tunnel or that lesser tunnel. If we take a look at the lesser tunnel, again, very, very, very self-explanatory, very easy to build. I walked into a wall. We have a little bit of a hotel right here. Gets them launched up to here. Dynamos, freeze traps, broadsides, gas traps. Pretty simple stuff. Walking on over to here. Pretty much the exact same stuff that we've been going over this entire time. And they don't even make it far enough to even drop down. Now, whenever it comes to this main tunnel, I also had an issue where they were wanting to hit through this area. Let me see if I can get this visualized for you guys. Well, maybe not. Hold up. There we go. They were wanting to hit through this area. I did end up putting a floor piece, just similarly to the other stuff that we were talking about, that other area. Sometimes they will want to hit through that for just no reason. Just make sure that you do have it, properly tiered up. And of course, this is the main tunnel. Punchers galore will be in this area. Make sure to just punch them out immediately. Broadsides to be going down at this hallway. Timeout room right here. Gas traps, electric fields, all the simple stuff that we got. Of course, they would path down here and come out this end, but they actually won't because they'll be dead. So yeah, that is pretty much it for the Plankerton Endurance. This is how we ended up defeating the Plankerton Endurance mode, or how we ended up beating it, and this is how you can beat it too. For those of you guys that do have different amplifier placements, I do apologize, as I do have no knowledge on how to actually build for those, or, because for some reason they did end up making it to where the early game SSDs were a little bit different, in the sense that you didn't have to place all the amplifiers. I don't know why they did it. It just causes confusion. So I do apologize if there are a few amplifiers in this video that are different for you because you have different placements, but this is how I beat it, and I do hope that you will be able to copy these builds and be able to complete it for yourself. Hopefully we will be able to get Canny Valley done pretty soon, and be able to get Twine Peaks pretty soon as well. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Lastly, I'm just going to leave off on a note, to end off this video, I'm just going to showcase our Wave 30 completion, just to show some of you guys that might be curious. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to leave a like if it did help you out. Subscribe if you're new, as I make videos almost every single day, and I would definitely appreciate it, as this video did take a very long time to make, and it definitely took a lot of testing to make sure that these amplifiers and these defenses would work correctly. Shout out to IM2, to Kujo, Deathgrip, and Nylek for helping me out with not only the build, but also helping me out with actual completing it. It was pretty much AFK endurance mode anyways, but yeah. That's pretty much it for the video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this did help, and I'll see you guys next time.
There's propane, so
Well, that's
be
cool.
careful.
As long as it's not a damage pulse. Guys, all right, get your sweatbands on. 'Cause we got
Sweatbands. Wait,
wet.
sweatbands or sweatpants?
You sound
Both.
like
Both?
you got sweatpants on already.
That sounds like some serious business.
Oh, that hurt a little bit.
hurt.
I'm a little hurt.
I'm a little hurt. What?
Blah,
Oh
blah,
guys,
blah, blah, blah.
guys, hurry, kill it. Oh my god, we're getting so far. Hurry up. Oh.
Okay.
Well, to be fair, Daniel, you are doing a crap ton more damage
Guys,
than you
watch
should be.
your health pools.
I'm
Well,
sitting on
you
top
know
of the
what?
little
It's
divider.
not my fault, okay? I'm sorry. Just Xbox has to be the most
Oh.
optimized.
Death grip was
Nice.
close.
Don't worry, dude. I'm a Chad.
Don't worry, you're a chat. Alright, I'm putting my banner down, because, like, I already did Stonewood, so... or not Stonewood, Plankerton. So, like, I
Damn it,
literally
it's
did this
mine.
for
Joey
no
wins.
reason.
Joey.
Hmm?
I said Joey's banner.
The only reason why I equipped this banner was because I just wanted to show I already did this. I'm just helping Joey, because he knew he couldn't do it by himself.
Oh my god.
No one's gonna pay enough attention to
I
you
even
on that.
said that if you wanted, we just 3-man it, and you're like, well, I guess I'll stay.
Because I had nothing better to do.
You had
going
Sniper
after
Elite
that
4, and you
clout.
know it.
He wants the Oro clout.
Yeah.
Dude, actually, I'm not gonna lie,
man.
kind of.
My man sounds like John.
Just shoot. Okay, so what
Well,
is
Daniel
it?
doesn't get that many chances to be in demonjoefr videos.
I know, right? And
He's
it's
I
been
don't
in
like
the
I
stream
even
did.
save
highlights.
the world.
I've been in the stream highlights, yeah, I've been in a couple.
I
But,
didn't hear what you said, Death Grip.
Yeah. By the way, this wave 30 is like intense. Honestly, the Stonewood one was way more intense. 'cause we actually
Takujo
had
was
missed
right.
pods.
Yeah, this Plankerton's just easier. It's easier. It's way easier than Stonewood.
Yeah.
The nut sacks were difficult.
Exactly.
if
we
got
didn't even see a
nut
single
again,
nut
like,
this entire time.
it makes me kind of sad.
No nuts were busted this entire time.
Death Grip
what's
was
the-
busting all the nuts on Wave 30.
No.
But you were, though.
Yeah, you were.
But you were.
Oh my gosh. Okay, can somebody like use a? They're like beating on that right there. If I leave that open, will they ignore it?
He's
no,
smiling
but
I
big as
know,
shit,
he
dude.
his mouth all the way open. He would look like Pag Chomp. He looked like Pag Chomp.
Huh?
Oh
The
my
tanker
gosh.
that we froze looked exactly like Pag Chomp. I froze him right as he opened his mouth and was about to charge.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a freeze frame
Little-
of that whenever I'm
little-
editing.
Little guy.
Make that an emote in the server.
Taker Chomp.
Wait, is this a great time to do a
There's a
shameless plug for your
smasher going around
Twitch?
through here.
Follow Demon Joe France at
And he got clapped.
twitch.tv/DemonJoeFrance. So, and then type !Discord to get a super secret Discord link.
And only the people
good or
watching
we'll
to the
ban
end of the
you.
video will know.
Yup. And also, if you DM me taco with the taco emoji, I'll give you a cookie.
That's empty
Emoji.
promise.
That is such an empty promise.
No, I can give you a cookie emoji.
Yeah.
Same thing.
You
I like how
disappointed me.
half the traps in this tunnel are broken, yet they're still barely making it that far.
You guys know Nemo?
Yeah, I love Omen.
Dude, he challenged me to Brawlhalla. He
Oh,
won't brawl me, dude.
Brawl me, bruh.
I love
Oh,
Nemo.
I'm just
He's
bowling
such a
with my
nice
bros.
guy. Oh, that voice crack. He's such a nice guy. I really like him.
I'm just bowling with my bros.
It just sucks because we don't really have that many games we can play other than Fortnite, and we're both really burnt out on Fortnite.
Ow.
That sounds so sad.
It sounds so sad, you know. It's like, why does Xbox have to be the best play to play save the world, you know?
holy mayo.
I know, right? It hurt to say it, like, even sarcastically. It just hurt, man. It just really hurt. Also, to all
my
you
door,
haters
Dustin.
that are all like,
D, shut my
"Oh,
door. Thank you.
I didn't choose power that was really hard. My game crashed, okay? It wasn't my fault. It's my Xbox's, okay? So if you want to leave hate comments to Xbox. Don't leave hate comments in general.
Daniel,
but-
be quiet.
No, I'm not.
You're like that one person that gets on the news and just starts talking a bunch of random crap.
I don't
Like,
know.
it
What
has
are we
nothing
supposed
to
talk
do with
about?
what's going on.
Fuck
Listen,
right.
we're supposed to be in a high intense situation, dude. We're about to
What are we
lose.
supposed to do? We're literally just standing
We're
in
about
front
to
of the
lose.
circles.
We lost.
Oh, yo, we lost, guys. I put down my rose so you can clutch it up.
I should just hit leave with party before the end of it.
No. Don't. You don't.
I
That
saw
would be
you got to click on it.
Wow, guys, I had to carry you that much.
Dude. Bro, you placed all the traps.
Yay!
It's not even
Woohoo!
fair.
Awesome.
Oh, guys. This was so hard. I'm so happy that I had a full stack of amazing squad members minus demonjoefr.
The other thing so I can stop getting kicked out of the call so often.
Yeah. I didn't even get enough reperk to change 2 perks.
Bruh.
That's top tier
571
rewards.
reperk.
Alright.
456 epic.
Oh yes, I did Danger in the Mist. Pog.
Oh, we got 456 epic at least. That's not bad. Okay, that makes me feel
I
a little-
didn't.
You didn't? You got rare? Feels bad.
pretty sure I
Oh,
got
Troll
rid-
Stash Love. I forgot. Pog.
Oh, Pog,
Dude.
Oh, Pog, except I already got
Name
it.
a more iconic duo. Worthless llamas in endurance mode. Wait,
Alright,
I
let's
am
go
Daniel.
back
You
to
left. We need screenshot.
It kicked me. It didn't. I didn't leave.
It kicked
Alright,
you.
invite. Because
Go
remember, I
Mocking
had to join
SpongeBob.
back.
Go to Boyo Bros, dude.
Hold
Yeah,
on, let
go to
me
Boy Bros.
invite.